Hi everyone. Today we will be performing Valse number 2 by Russian composer Dmitri Shostakovich. Before we begin, we would like to take a few minutes to give you some context because understanding a piece of music can fundamentally change the way you experience it. The waltz is a musical form that originated in 18th century Europe and evolved from folk dances performed at villages, gatherings, and quickly spread across ballrooms and concert halls throughout the continent. Its defining characteristic is its triple meter, which is a 3 beat per measure, which gives it that distinctive sense of flow and rotation. What began as popular entertainment gradually became one of the most sophisticated forms of musical expression in the Western classical tradition. Shostakovich composed this waltz in 1938 during one of the most politically repressive periods of Soviet history. On the surface, the piece appears light-hearted and dance-like, but listen carefully and you will notice something more complex underneath, a sense of irony, even melancholy. Shostakovich was a composer who frequently used music to say what cannot be said openly, and that tension between the outward form and the inner emotion is precisely what makes this piece so remarkable and so worth studying. So let's enjoy. We will now like to introduce 3 instruments you are here today. Each has a distinct history, a distinct physical mechanism, and a distinct emotional character. And understanding these differences will deepen your experience of music. We begin with flute. The flute is a woodwind instrument, though unlike most woodwinds, it produces sounds not through a reed, but through a player directing a stream of air crossing an opening at the mouthpiece. This mechanism gives the flute a characteristic clarity and brightness. It is also one of the oldest instruments in human history. Bone flutes dating back over 40,000 years have been discovered by archaeologists, making it among the earliest evidence of musical culture we have. In the context of waltz, the flute takes on the role of the primary voice. Its lightness and agility makes it well suited to carry the dancing quality of the melody. However, notice that even as flute sounds bright as nimble on the surface, the melodic line itself carries an underlying wistfulness, a reminder that in Shostakovich's world, appearances are really the full story. Next, the clarinet is also a woodwind instrument, but one that functions very differently from flute. The clarinet produces sound through a single reed attached to its mouthpiece. When player blows air through its instrument, the reed vibrates, creating a tone that is warmer, rounder, and more closely resembling the human voice that is almost any other wind instrument. The clarinet also has exceptionally wide dynamic range and can murmur almost inaudibly or project with considerable force. The clarinet was invented in the early 18th century and became a standard member of the orchestra by the time of Mozart, who was one of his earliest and most celebrated champions. In his piece, the clarinet provides a tonal contrast to flute. Where the flute is luminous, the clarinet is intimate. When the melody passes between the 2 instruments, listening for how the emotional quality shifts, the same phrase can feel open and airy in the flute, then suddenly close and personal in the clarinet. Finally, the piano. The piano, short for pianoforte, meaning soft, loud in Italian, was so named because unlike its predecessor, the harpsichord, it could vary its volume in response to the player's touch. This dynamic sensitivity makes it one of the most expressive instruments ever created, and it became the dominant keyboard instrument of the classical romantic periods. What you've just heard is a piece that operates on several levels of several simultaneously as historical artifact, as showcase of instrumental color, and as emotional statement that transcends the political circumstances of its creation. Music, at its most powerful, communicates what language alone cannot. We hope today's performance has offered you not only an enjoyable listening experience, but also a deeper appreciation for the layers of meaning that live within a single piece of music. Thank you.